Welcome to Top 10 News Channel. We will talk about top 5 fascinating news stories this week 05/08/2020. Number 5. Taika Waititi set to direct new Star Wars film. On May the 4th be with you, Disney surprised Star Wars fans by releasing The Rise of Skywalker on its digital streaming platform, Disney Plus, months before its original scheduled release. That wasn't the only bit of good news to come out of the House of Mouse where Star Wars is concerned, as the studio announced that a new film was being directed by Taika Waititi. Most people have discovered Waititi's work recently, thanks to the Academy Award he received for Best Adapted Screenplay for last year's Jojo Rabbit trailer above. Waititi also directed Thor Ragnarok in 2017, and an episode of The Mandalorian in which he also provided the voice for one of the characters. 6. Lucasfilm made the announcement on May 4th, confirming that Waititi would be directing an as-yet untitled Star Wars film, which he would co-write with Krysty Wilson-Cairns, who recently wowed audiences with her screenplay from 1917. Unsurprisingly, nothing else has been revealed about the project, so there's no way of knowing when it is set within the established timeline of the Star Wars universe, who will be in it, or anything else to include a release date. Still, having Waititi take the lead on a new film for the franchise was welcome news to most fans, as the director has a love of the characters and setting as evidenced by his work on The Mandalorian. If you can't contain your excitement about this positive news, you can head over, as quickly as you can, to Top 10 Star Wars background characters you never even noticed. Number 4. The U.S. Supreme Court issued the flush heard round the world. This week, the United States Supreme Court heard arguments in real time remotely, which marked the first time in the court's history where the public could listen to arguments. While that alone is unprecedented and newsworthy, the simple fact that the cases were heard around the nation wasn't the leading headline about the SCOTUS this week, as there was something overheard soon after oral arguments began on Wednesday. It wasn't a perfectly worded argument or anything of the sort, it was a toilet flushing. Everyone involved in the arguments was doing so from a safe location. And while many may not have been wearing pants, that doesn't mean a trip to the bathroom wasn't going to be heard by everyone listening. The lawyers and judges didn't seem fazed by the distinctive sound of a toilet flushing its contents, but it's pretty much all anyone was talking about on Wednesday. Ajit Pai, the chairman of the FCC, took to Twitter to discuss the flush and its impact on the argument, which was about robocalls, in which he wrote, "To be clear, the FCC does not construe the flushing of a toilet immediately after counsel said what the FCC has said to reflect the substantive judgment of the Supreme Court, or of any justice thereof, regarding an agency determination." You can find a little more scatological news on 10 bizarre toilet tales from around the world. Number 3. More retail giants are filing for bankruptcy protection in the U.S. Last week, Saks Fifth Avenue joined other department stores, including Macy's and JCPenney, in filing for bankruptcy, and now Neiman Marcus has followed suit. On Thursday, the retail anchor store found in many malls around the United States filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy so that it can restructure its massive debt-laden business, which has been steadily losing money even before lockdowns forced shoppers into their homes. Neiman Marcus Group Chairman and CEO Geoffroy Van Ramdunk issued a statement explaining the decision to file. Prior to COVID-19, Neiman Marcus Group was making solid progress on our journey to long-term profitable and sustainable growth. However, like most businesses today, we are facing unprecedented disruption caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, which has placed inexorable pressure on our business. 9. Neiman Marcus wasn't the only retailer to file for protection this week. J.Crew did the same on Monday. The retailer is hoping to restructure its debt so that it can survive the pandemic, and it's unlikely that J.Crew and Neiman Marcus will be the last such businesses to file in the coming weeks and months. Now where do we go when we run out of the top 10 obscenely expensive luxury fashion items? Number 2. Mueller's case against General Flynn dumped. The case against former National Security Advisor, General Michael Flynn, has been a long and circuitous one. He initially pled guilty to lying in an interview with the FBI, and his case was one of the highest-profile people to be charged as a result of the Mueller investigation. Shortly before he was to be sentenced, his attorneys challenged his original plea deal. And the case has finally met its conclusion with a dismissal of all charges against him. Such a dismissal is unprecedented, as it involved the highest levels of government, including Attorney General Barr and President Trump, who tweeted that Flynn is an innocent man. In the filing by the Justice Department, the agency noted that it was dropping all charges after a considered review of all the facts and circumstances of this case, including newly discovered and disclosed information. The document further explained that the original interview with the FBI was untethered to, and unjustified by, the FBI's counterintelligence investigation into Mr. Flynn, and the interview itself was conducted without any legitimate investigative basis. If you're a long-time reader of Listverse, you really shouldn't be too surprised by this news. After all, we already showed you 10 disturbing signs that the FBI is corrupt. Number 1. Is China preparing for war? The Wuhan flu, as some have taken to calling it, has done more to harm China's reputation around the world than anything since the infamous 1989 Tiananmen Square crackdown, which saw pro-democracy protesters killed in the streets. China faces widespread criticism for issues related to human rights abuses, religious discrimination, its stance toward Taiwan, island building in the Pacific, and anti-democratic movements. But the coronavirus may be the straw that breaks the camel's back. As far as the world's opinion of the country is concerned, it was revealed this week in the Reuters article that a worst-case scenario was presented to China's President Xi Jinping related to the rise in anti-China sentiment. In those documents, the so-called worst-case scenario was an all-out war with the United States. One of those with knowledge of the report said it was regarded by some in the Chinese intelligence community as China's version of the Novikov telegram, a 1946 dispatch by the Soviet ambassador to Washington, Nikolai Novikov, that stressed the dangers of U.S. economic and military ambition in the wake of World War II. Criticism of the Chinese response to the outbreak and its refusal to allow outside investigators have been pushed by the highest levels of the Trump administration, and while a war between the two nations is unlikely, it's important to note that China isn't ruling it out. Oh well, I guess we can just add this to the list of top 10 creepy things happening inside China. Thanks for watching.